What's up guys, Brad here, and we are going to be starting a new adventure of trying to find the best Diablo clone out there. So I decided to start with Anima, the Reign of Darkness, because I actually heard some decent things about it. So looking at a couple screenshots, I was like, you know what, let's give it a shot. So the thing I want to start off with is one on Steam. The game's like 12 bucks roughly, and it is in the 1.0 patch of the game. So the mobile game, which I have not touched at all, I did look though, and the version is actually 2.1.3. So I don't know if they've completely given up on it or if they just have a different patch ordering for the game. So take it or leave it how you want. Do a little more research yourself on that. So as you see here, I tested out each class just for fun. And I mainly went with the warrior because that's usually what I play in Diablo games. So I like the barbarian, so why not do that? So let's jump into it. And to kind of clarify what the classes are, as you can see them there though, but they were a skirmish, which is a warrior. I don't know why they named it that, because in the character it says like what they are too. But sorcery, which is like a sorceress or mage, archery, which is a rogue, a necromancy, which is necromancer obviously, and sanctity for cleric or paladin. So anyways, so you jump in. This is your little town. It's pretty straightforward. A couple things to kind of give you an idea of what I feel is this is a mix of everything from Diablo 1, 2, and 3. So for me, looking at it, Diablo 1 aesthetics, it's dark, it's gritty, it's kind of, you know, from that aesthetic. The music also reminds me of Diablo 1. It's got like that Tristram vibe, at least. I don't know if you guys can hear it 100% over my voice, but I think it sounds pretty good. And then you also have Diablo 2's skill tree. So each class, as you can see here, has their own skill tree. You can't go into them, at least not that I know of as of right now, unless you're in, you know, you're playing a skirmish, so you can only go in the skirmish skill tree. Simple as that. Also, so it looks like at level 35 we'll unlock something. I only made it to level 30 as of right now, so we'll see how things go. But anyways, a couple other things are for me, like obviously the depth of the skill tree also isn't huge, but there are, you know, synergies. You can see double attack will increase bash, and you got like a whirlwind attack here, which is pretty good. You have your mobility skills, which kind of remind me of Diablo 3, which classes had their mobility stuff. And also they have their callbacks too, right? So they got clear things that are references to Diablo. So number one over here is Hedwig. He is your blacksmith. Well, if you played Diablo 3, you know Hadrig is the blacksmith of Diablo 3. Clearly just a little bit of a change of the names. And then down here you've got your gambler, Galheed. And of course in Diablo 2, Geed is the gambler of that game. So they're definitely not shying away from their their references here, right? And anyways, so they also have achievements in the game too. So if you go down here, I believe in the quest log, you've got achievements. So boom, as you can see here, we can claim that, and there's different things, you know, like completing that, like upgrading a skill to level 10, and opening 35 chests, opening 100 chests, so on and so forth. It kind of goes on and on. Killing 100 enemies, kill 1,000 enemies. You know, it's kind of cool. The only thing is, for myself, right, for example, this is a tier 1. So tier 1 items, you can see here, like as a tier 1 item, underneath where it says epic, it will say the tier. So you don't get access to tier 2 stuff until you actually complete the first playthrough of the game. And I'm just starting to get into tier 2 stuff, and it is a massive jump in like just quality of item, right? So if you just take a look, right, the best item that I had for the longest time, I ended up switching to this, as weird as it sounds. So it's not that big of a damage hit switching from that to the large axe, but this is the highest damage that I saw all the way through the game. And then I went into the first like area that's end game, I'm guessing is, and the first item I found was this hammer that does 444 damage. It's absurd how much more damage that you're doing. So yeah, obviously the treasure chests give you these kind of higher end items. So as you see here, you know, even if you're early on, like some of the stuff, like when you got your first like 100 kills, the items that you were getting from this chest were actually a little bit better than probably what you should have gotten. But anyways, those are those. Just kind of giving you an idea of what I ended up using. So as I said, this is what my current gear is right now after playing really quickly through the thing. So when I literally found these two from the same mob. This full helm that has a bunch of vitality and thorns, armor, both fine, health regen, chance to immobilize an enemy for 2 seconds, and that's really the only tier 2 item I have on. But what I used to kill the final boss was this. I just swapped out this bone helm, essentially. So when I first was playing against the final boss, and I'll get into some of the earlier stuff as well, I was struggling because he has a he's pretty much like Belial, and they reference him to, oh, there's a hooded figure, and you learn that from a guy that's on the ground that has been wounded, kind of similar to the Butcher, and then you find the hooded guy, like you find the Dark Wanderer in Diablo 2. And basically you fight this guy, he keeps sending waves of enemies, you kill all the waves of enemies, and then he transforms, and it does basically a Belial transformation from Diablo 3. You fight him, he has this like fireball from the sky attack that does an insane amount of damage. So basically I was dying from that. Like there was one time where 3 of them hit in the same spot and it killed me in one shot. So yeah, I ended up going back and I just made myself a little tankier, which is why I'm using the shield, because I originally was using this axe, and then the armor, helmets, and whatnot. I swapped it out and ended up being a little more tanky with the basic sword, the shield. I also swapped in Berserk here for a skill, just to do a little bit more damage as well. So anyways, as you see though, real quickly, just pretty basic stuff. I actually don't mind the itemization. Like, I think it's pretty cool. Some things that are weird is you have like 6 socketed armor, but like early on, like this was like one of the first like rare armors I found, and not like first, but it was pretty up there for one of the first items I found, and it has 6 sockets, which I didn't even put any gems into. I used no gems during this entire run. It was kind of funny. But I could have used, and I'm sure it would have made this, carry me way into the game. Just to show you, like, it seems like there could have maybe been a little bit more balance in itemization. But overall, though, I kind of like the itemization. It has, as you can see here, underneath where the cell value is, it shows your right ring and your left ring, and it shows you your damage differences. So if you do more damage with physical magic, and your endurance, so your defense and regen. So, it has the basic stuff of Diablo 3, where it's just look at green number equals put on, yes. But you also have things like this chance of weakening an enemy for 2 seconds that can actually change your gameplay a little bit. Maybe you want to use that weaken. I mean, technically this, the shield and sword combination is like significantly weaker. It shows like 20%, but because this has strength to it, it ends up working out pretty well. But anyways, yeah, so, wow, I didn't even notice I had that. Anyways, these are kind of like some of the basic stuff. My weapon really isn't anything special. It just was attacking fast, and that's what I wanted to do with our Berserk skill, which, every time that we hit an enemy, it increases our damage by a percentage. So that's just straight physical damage and magic resistance for the ring. This has physical damage, vitality, and magic find. And I was kind of trying to focus on magic find. Armor, high armor, and a little bit of health, a little health regen, magic find, and some dodge chance. Obviously, the shield has the strength, health, and armor is increased, plus an 18% chance to block. And our amulet is 32 to physical damage, excuse me, with vitality, 21 gold find, whatnot. As you can see, we're doing like 416 damage, our 4,335 physical resistance, 3,642 for magical resistance. I don't really know how those numbers work exactly. It doesn't seem like that matters too much. Like I don't have any idea what it means. And basically, I don't use intellect at all, like at least that I know of. So why would I put any points into it? So I just didn't. Same with dexterity. I was pumping points into it because I was thinking like items would require dexterity. Well, the stuff when you're a melee character does not require dexterity. Other things that we can kind of discuss as well. Oh, well, I'll show you the lower end gear. So this was the one of the items that I used early on. I was probably like level 8 or so when I found this. And as you can see how the items kind of scale up. So these were, I used together, these three here. Even the amulet too, actually. So I just basically was like thorns and lifesteal is essentially what I was looking there. Thorns, magic find is all I really cared about there. And we had thorns here, vitality and health. And then obviously some physical damage, chance to curse an enemy. Gold find obviously isn't too bad. Then I found this is the only legendary item I found. And it gives +1 to all abilities, physical damage increased by 37, 29 physical damage, 15 dex, 15 strength, 6 dex, excuse me. And it's pretty good, and actually I can transfer the legendary stuff to another item if I wanted as well. Through the blacksmith. So, interesting there too. You've got your health potion, which is on a cooldown, very similarly to Diablo 3. So there are no health potions. Town portal is really simple, like Diablo 3 as well. One critique I will say was skill-wise. So it's working right now perfectly, which because I'm trying to showcase it. But the game doesn't always work with like your hotkeys. Like you'll spam the button and it just will not work. You can just be mashing it and it won't be doing anything. Other thing that I also kind of didn't really care for too is early on when you're using your default attack, it has a cooldown. So if you watch down here, your basic attack, come over here and you'll attack and you see it kind of has a cooldown. So sometimes in Diablo you'd be clicking fast and instead you're like running around. Kind of annoying. As you can see, environment-wise, everything looks really cool. Super inspired by Diablo 1, Diablo 2, definitely for enemies and environment-wise. So can't complain about that. Identification-wise, as you see here, we picked up an item. All you do is double-click it, and it identifies it. So it's kind of cool too. Other thing, trying to keep this as short as possible, as we are. I don't want to make this super long, but I'll talk about some of the other things that I ran into. So shrines are in the game too, and there are some very powerful shrines, such as an experience shrine, which is in Diablo 2, but this time it's no joke. This experience shrine is insane. You kill like 2 enemies and you get a level up. So you go around and you kill stuff. You can get like 10 levels from one experience shrine and go. I mean, I easily, and I didn't have any way to really move around fast. I didn't know what was going on. I got 5 levels just from this one experience shrine. Other thing to kind of note is basically as you're going around. So basically, when you go to a next level, that's just a waypoint. So when you find level 2 of something, that's a waypoint. So you can go back to town, and you already have the waypoint to the next level of whatever you're looking at. By the way, I'm hitting 2 here, and it wasn't working. Now it is. But as you see, all the waypoints. So if you get to 1, you get to 2, you can go back to town and just come back here to level 2 if you wanted, or go back to 1, do whatever you got to do. It's pretty nice. Also, when you hear escape, you can reset the dungeon if you want to farm the dungeon as well, which is nice, kind of the Path of Exile style. So the special mobs that you run into, the unique mobs, whatever, they're blue. You'll run into those, and it's a complete crapshoot. So I ran into the first blue mob of the entire game. At this point, I never got below 20% health. Excuse me, I never lost more than 20% of my health. So I always stayed above 80. I ran into this ranged zombie that would shoot out some like acid or whatever. This thing killed me in 2 hits. So seems like there's also some balance things too that they need to mess with. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It's just like it might need just a tad of tweaking. Also, same thing with the first boss. So the first boss was like pretty hard, like really hard in the beginning. Essentially, spawn a clone of herself, doing whirlwind attacks, doing projectiles and whatnot. And then all of a sudden, in the middle of it, she just got like way more tolerable. I don't know if I just like learned her pattern more or what, but it just became way easier for me to actually deal with her. So, yeah, I think honestly that's kind of all I have left to really say. Overall, my views of the game, like there is this whatever Australium, which I have not done anything with. It's, I'm guessing, Path of Exile style, passive skill tree. You know, I'm sure there's a lot more depth to this game. It seems like the game actually is decent. So my opinion is, I would definitely say it's a thumbs up. Give it a shot if you want to play a game that's pretty faithful to a Diablo clone game. But give it some time, because I honestly was struggling to get past like level 5. It was really hard early on. And to be fair, Diablo 2 and Diablo 1 are also kind of slow in the beginning. So they're amazing games. Definitely give it a shot. And you know, I understand if it doesn't end up working, because there are some little tweaks and quirks that I had to get over and really enjoy, like to really enjoy this game. I do want to show one other thing though. That's the Arcane Sanctuary of this game, which is the Arcane Passage. It looks pretty cool, and that's what we'll end on. Here we go. I think it's pretty cool looking, so definitely give them a thumbs up. They work pretty, you could tell, like they put some love into it. I don't know why my guy's not moving right now, but yeah. So anyways, hopefully you guys enjoyed. Like I said, I mean, if I were to give it a rating, like a number rating, I would probably say, you know, number rating wise, maybe like a 7 out of 10 or so, maybe a 6.5. Like, it's not amazing, but it's definitely playable and a solid game if you enjoy it. It might have sounded like I was super positive, but like if you think about it, you're like, okay, well, where do you rank Diablo 2? Diablo 2 is my favorite game of all time. I don't think it's a perfect game, but it's just my favorite game of all time for all the nostalgia and stuff. So I would say this is darn close to being like a solid game that you'd want to play, especially for a mobile game. So anyways, hope you guys enjoy it. I'll catch you next time.